Oh my goodness. Hey guys, didn't see you there. I'm supposed to make a presentation on all the pretty horses about how McCarthy presented the motif of landscape imagery, but I don't know what to do. Do you think you could help me out? You will? That's great! Well, we better get started. First of all, I should explain to you what landscape imagery is. It is background or scenery detail that provides more of the detail to the characters, time period, and mood of the story. The imagery of the sky and landscape in throughout all the pretty horses provides the reader examples of how McCarthy connected both landscape and characters. Now, it's our job to find these connections in the story and find the themes behind them. Do you understand now? Great! So here we go. Wait, who's there?
Don't worry, child. It's just me.
Mr. McCarthy? Is that you? What are you doing here?
I heard the news of your project for Mr. Martin, and I decided that I would help guide you on your journey into the book world. First, I want you to know how I incorporated the landscape imagery into the novel. My purpose for the descriptive and meaningful landscape was to provide the reader with an image of what is going on in the story. I wanted the landscape to stick out, most importantly, highlight the fact that there was more to the characters than the dialect. The landscape was filled with details that will give me more life, emotions, and physical descriptions of the characters. It was foreshadowed the readers with the anticipation of what would happen next.
Oh, wow, thanks. That really opened my eyes.
So before you head off to look for examples in the book, make sure you keep that in mind.
Thank you so much. Well, we better get started. The wind was much abated, and it was very cold, and the sun sat blood red and elliptic under the reefs of the blood red cloud before him. There were a few cattle in that country, because it was barren country. Indeed, yet he came at evening upon a solitary bull rolling in the dust, against the blood-red sunset like an animal in sacrificial torment. It is very interesting that the sunset always appears at both the very beginning and end of the novel, and each time John Grady plans to leave home and sort out of a new adventure, while leaving behind the things he knows. However, both of these quotes are pretty much the same, although they appear at different times. I think that the imagery of the blood-red sunrise and sunset represent John Grady's coming of age, the age at which this transition takes place throughout the scenery, as does John Grady when he sets off on his adventure. The sunset represents the beginning of the initial stage of John Grady, while the sunset represents his final outcome. Now, how on earth can I relate this to today? Well, in today's society, we have some beginning and ends as well. Birth and death, waking up and falling asleep, even your attraction towards something. Yes, that's it. Physical attraction. Even in the book, John Grady's attraction towards the landscape eventually comes to an end. Normally in the beginning of encountering something new, everything seems flawless. But the longer you are there, the more flaws you uncover. Here you see this beautiful new house. Everything seems wonderful. Until you get a closer look. That bad squeak in the ceiling is getting worse. The floor creaking sound is constantly in your head whenever someone walks on the floor. And your neighbors, well, they weren't where they seemed to be in the first place. By early evening, all the skies to the north had darkened, and spare terrain the trod had turned a neuter gray as far as the eye could see. They grouped in the road at the top of the rise and looked back. The storm front towered above them, and the wind was cool in their sweating faces. They slept bleary-eyed in their saddles and looked at one another. Shrouded in the back thunderheads, the distant lightning glowed mutely, like welding seen through founding smoke, as if repairs were underway at some flawed place in the iron dark of the world. You can't outrun a thunderstorm. What the hell was wrong with you? The thunderstorm also seems like an important symbol to the landscape. It is clear to me that thunderstorm represents their troubles, while the attempts of running away means trying to avoid their problems. This represents the problems that they are running away from and how it's impossible to escape them. Hey, well, it looks like we discovered a new theme of inescapable evil. In my opinion, John tells Blevins that you cannot outrun a thunderstorm is significant and can be taken literally and figuratively. Literally, Blevins not outrun a thunderstorm. Figuratively, it is saying people cannot run away from their problems, and the problems will be there no matter where you go. This quote, however, is important to the end of the book as well. When John Grady finally stops running away, his problems are accepted, and he moves on, which taught him that it is better to face the problem rather than avoid them. Okay, so after reading these quotes, I realized that the quotes pretty much state that you cannot completely escape from your problems. This scenario is used in countless examples in life, but primarily, it can be used in farming as well. The deforestation of landscape represents thunder, while the farmer resembles running away. If the farmer continues to cut down trees and the use of available land decreases, eventually he will run out of land. This matches with the quote. If we pair the new scenario with the remainder of this novel, we could say that the farmer decides to find ways to reuse the land. This would help him longer, and rather than hurt him in the long run. Crossing the plain the next morning, they came upon standing water in the bahas and watered the horses and drank rainwater from the rocks, and they climbed steadily into a deepening cool of the mountains, until in the evening of that day, from the crest of the Calarius, they saw below them and the country of which they had been told. The grasslands lay in deep violet haze, and to the west thin flights of waterfall were moving north before the sunset in the deep red galleries under the cloud banks like schoolfish in the burning sea, and on the foreland plain they saw Banquos driving cattle before them through a gauze of golden dust. By noon they were on a plain riding through the grass of a kind they had not seen before. The path of driven cattle lay through the grass like a place where water had run by. Mid-afternoon, they could see a herd before them moving west, and within an hour they caught up to them. In this scene, John Grady and Rollins both come across Don Hector's ranch for the first time, and they are amazed. I think that the description of the ranch makes it clear that John Grady has never encountered some of this before. Both boys act like they have found their paradise, and completely abandoned their lives back in Texas. This makes John Grady go as an individual, and he soon, wait, that's it. Another theme is how he finally found his adventure. He officially discovered his true meaning. Okay, so how am I going to find a connection between adventure and true meaning? Well, in order for someone to completely discover their meaning, they have to go through certain situations, right? And that's exactly what John Grady did. This reminds me of how people decide on where they want to live. People want to live in somewhere where they consider ideal and in a comfortable environment. So that being said, they have to go through a certain type of adventure to search for their home. Oh my goodness, we finished! Thank you so much for helping me. All I really need to do now is put it in presentation form. Tomorrow, meet me in Mr. Martin's room so we can see how this all turned out. See you then. That's my presentation on landscape imagery.
Woo! Yeah, Morgan!
Yeah, woo! Great job, Morgan. And might I say that's a fantastic presentation. Definitely A-worthy. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Martin, but I must give credit to my friends that helped me. Thank you, guys.
We did it! We did it! We did it! Yay! Always team up! We did it!
Wait, I'm definitely missing something. Oh, citations. There we go. Oh, okay, they're coming. All right, here they go. All right.